We're on the air. We're on the air. It's good to see your faces and to be back in the boardroom. It just makes everything come alive. So, the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, this Tuesday, November 2nd, 9:30, Laguna Woods boardroom virtual meeting now comes to order. The next business is the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Milliman.
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I want to acknowledge the media. And the next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda?
Do we change the consent calendar here?
Pardon?
Do you change the consent calendar at this point?
But you're going to make a motion to send that, to change that.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'd like to change the consent calendar to move off the approval of the committees and put it under, what, new business? Or under
Unfinished business.
unfinished business?
So that would be item B, 11B.
11B, thank you.
Are there any other additions or corrections? So if there are no other additions or corrections, the corrected agenda is approved by unanimous consent. Item 5, we have several minutes that we have to approve. And the first one is May 24th, 2021, special open meeting, capital review. Are there any changes or corrections? No? Hearing none, the minutes for May 24th, 2021 special open meeting is approved by unanimous consent. The approval of the minutes for June 7th, 2021 special open meeting capital review. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none. The June 7th, 2021 special open meeting capital review is approved by unanimous consent. June 14th, 2021 special open meeting department review. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, the June 14th, 2021 special open meeting department review is approved by unanimous consent. The next minutes is June 30th, 2021 special open meeting business plan version 1. Are there any corrections or additions?
I don't remember what date I got on, but it's showing me as November 3rd. I don't know if you want to correct that or not.
What page?
Where?
On June 30th,
What
it says
page?
others present.
Others present.
It's page, item 5D, page 1 of 2. Because I think I was on the board by then, the end of June, right?
I don't recall.
I think so. It was in June. Yeah. That would be the only thing. I mean, I don't think it really, the next one is fine, so it was just that one.
Okay. You're making note of it, Joan? Okay. Are there any other additions or corrections? Hearing none, the June 30th, 2021 special open meeting business plan version 1 correction modification is approved by unanimous consent. July 14th, 2021 special open meeting business Plan Version 2. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, the July 14, 2021 Special Open Meeting Business Plan Version 2 is approved by unanimous consent. August 9th, 2021 Special Open Meeting Business Plan Version 3. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, the August 9th, 2021 Special Open Meeting Business Plan Version 3 is approved by unanimous consent. October 5th, 2021 Regular Open Meeting. Are there any additions or corrections?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
On page 2 of 26, at the bottom line, it should be concerts instead of concepts. And at the top of page 3 of 26, it should read, is a group that sponsor 5 subscription concerts throughout the year. I can give you that later. And also it's concerts, again, instead of concepts. Okay, under number 9, concepts, should be concerts, community concerts, second dot under 9. That was all.
Thank you. Are there any other additions or corrections? October 5th, 2021 Regular Open Meeting corrections are approved by unanimous consent. October 21st, 2021 Agenda Prep Open Meeting. Are there any additions or corrections?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
On the first page, at the bottom, it's magician, not musician. The last line, she's arranged for a magician instead of musician. That's it.
Thank you. So the October 31st, 2021 Agenda Prep Open Meeting Modification is approved by unanimous consent. So the next item is report of the chair. And I would like to announce the GRF has another vacancy, and those interested may currently apply for that position. Also, we want to congratulate Don Tibbetts, who is the delegate from United that has just been elected. So yesterday I met with staff regarding a new ballot. And that will be sent to the corporate members of the GRF election. So the original ballot was sent out to abide by the 30-day notification requirement. The new ballot will be sent out, color-coded, and instructions naming the candidates for the 3 positions. So I just want to tell everybody good luck for all those that have applied that are candidates.
Corporate language on it.
Right. Joan asked me to clarify, when we vote for GRF candidates, it's corporate members only. The next item is the CEO and COO report. So Jeff Parker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and good morning, everybody. I have a couple of updates. Wanted to talk a little bit about COVID. The good news is that COVID-19 booster shots are now approved from the CDC and FDA. So individuals can contact their physician, as well as if they're looking for locations to get the booster shot, they can do that. At pretty much every pharmacy now is carrying the booster shots. For those that don't know, the booster shots are also being allowed to be mixed, in that if you had a Pfizer, you can get a Moderna as an example. So that you can make a decision on that if you'd like, but obviously if you'd like to stay with the one that you had previously. There is a time recommendation with regards to when you received your original shot. They recommend a 6-month period from that original shot before you get the boosters. So just check your calendar when you did that. And obviously when we had the clinics here, that's well beyond the 6 months, but just wanted to make sure people are aware of that. I was going to also mention the time frame, and I'll just add to it, the 15th is the deadline for your application process for your GRF board member election coming up on December 3rd. As far as the totals coming out of the weekend, with regards to COVID. The numbers continue to go down, which is good with regards to the things that we've really followed the most, which is hospitalizations and ICUs. Hospitalizations are now under 200, and ICU cases were just at 53, so that's a good trending down. Cases reported over the weekend were 900, and again, that goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So look at, if you're interested in really how many cases there are, tomorrow will be a better gauge of what you see during the week, which has been around 250. We've seen that number 250 to 300. So again, the process is working. More and more people are getting vaccinated. Our percentages again are in the village here and our zip code are among the highest in the state of California. So everybody here in the village and in our community should be very proud of their efforts to get immunized from that perspective. And that's all I had, and I'll turn it over to Siobhan.
Thank you, Jeff. Honorable President, members of the board, this morning I'm pleased to share the Employee Recognition of Excellence video. This is offered twice a year in the spring and the fall, and this program recognizes outstanding employees who demonstrate excellent customer care, have achieved great results on a project, and have gone above and beyond their regular job duties. This morning, we're pleased to share the excellent awards for employees in the Compliance Division, Recreation and Special Events Department, and the Landscaping Division.
The Recognition of Excellence Awards are offered twice a year in spring and fall for outstanding employees who demonstrated excellent customer service, achieved great results on projects, and went beyond their regular job duties. Usually the program is held in the boardroom on the first floor. However, due to COVID concerns, we offer this special video presentation. Casey Almero, Compliance Coordinator, Work Center 210, nominated by Blasilda Wright. Casey Almero consistently provides excellent customer service, which is most evident in addressing delinquent accounts and bringing matters before the Board of Directors for disciplinary action. Casey takes the lead in coordinating and scheduling disciplinary hearings for members who are delinquent in assessments, chargeable services, and various fees. This tough task involves a great deal of moving parts in various departments. In the past few years, the Compliance Division has helped the Financial Services Department in auditing delinquent accounts for United, Third, and GRF, and Casey has been instrumental in collecting monies owed or suspending services until accounts are cleared. Casey ensures members understand all charges, connects them with the appropriate department or division if needed, and follows up with accounting regarding members who request to remit payment. Casey accomplishes this and his day-to-day duties with the utmost courtesy to the members and staff. Drew Anastasio, Technician, Work Center 613, nominated by Marcia Garcia. Bringing years of experience and knowledge, Drew Anastasio is a true asset to our department. Passionate about fixing our audio equipment, he served as an invaluable information source to restore our facilities to working order after the closure. Drew demonstrates diligence and attentiveness to his work and encourages others. Ernesto Larios, Irrigation Foreman, Work Center 540, nominated by Raul Arcio. Ernesto Larios responded to a call from VMS Watch Commander requesting emergency response to what was reported as an irrigation problem. The problem was a faulty meter gasket that normally would be addressed by the Plumbing Department or the El Toro Water District, the ETWD. As Ernesto arrived and evaluated the situation, he communicated to the Watch Commander to report the problem to ETWD as the problem was theirs. To avoid wasting water before ETWD arrived, Ernesto proactively started the repair by blocking the 10 to 15-foot high water stream with his own body to turn off the valve. Residents witnessing the work applauded his efforts. By the time ETWD arrived, the water waste had stopped and residents' water was restored at their manors. Ernesto deserves double recognition because he responded to the emergency while he was leaving to watch a much-anticipated final soccer match between the United States and Mexico. He missed the game to do the right thing. James Matthews, Dispatcher, Work Center 400, nominated by Dan Lurie. James Matthews has shown his worthiness for the Recognition of Excellence Award by demonstrating his own consistently high standards. A dependable self-starter with a strong work ethic, he obtained his POST, or Peace Officer Standards and Training, as well as basic and supervisory dispatcher certificates on his own time and his own expense. He exemplifies being the best he can be in his assigned position. He is frequently called upon to participate in security dispatch interviews. Security management has received numerous compliments regarding his outstanding customer service. James is often tasked as a training officer for new dispatchers. He possesses high levels of awareness and initiative. For example, if equipment issues arise, he immediately notifies appropriate personnel to resolve the matter as quickly as possible. James communicates major event information to his superiors with excellence. Respected by his peers who know they can rely on him to get the job done, James deserves this award.
Thank you, and that concludes our video presentation for this morning.
Okay, thank you. So the next item in business is the open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. The board reserves the right to limit total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. And no rude or threatening comments. Members can attend the meeting by joining Zoom and also by emailing email meeting@vmsinc.org to have your message read during the open forum. So, Grant, do we have any speakers today?
The first speaker is Jean Bray, 7669. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep. Hi, my name is Jeannie Bray. I'm the president of the Vision Club here in Laguna Woods. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you about several concerns raised by members of the Vision Club. Although these issues are especially relevant to individuals with vision challenges, we believe they affect the safety and independence of all residents in our community. The first issue is the benches. Village residents are dedicated walkers for exercise, access to shopping, and to reach village facilities. Many walkers use canes, wheelchairs, or scooters, and some have service animals. The sidewalks accommodate 2 people walking side by side. There are many white benches physically located on the sidewalks. In fact, they take up about 1/3 of the sidewalk. When someone sits on a bench, there is less than half of the sidewalk available. Walkers, especially those using mobility assistive devices, are dangerously close to the curb when negotiating an occupied bench. Additionally, many benches are damaged and may have sharp edges. We recommend that benches be moved off of the sidewalk. Damaged benches should be replaced, and we do not recommend any reduction in the number of benches as they serve a purpose for the walkers. Number 2, crosswalks. Pedestrian crosswalks are not clearly marked. For example, the crosswalk situated adjacent to the bus stop on Calle Sevilla at the Performing Arts Center doesn't have safety-enhancing white ladder stripes, curb cuts, and there is no signage indicating a pedestrian crossing. Also, many of the reflectors spanning the crosswalks are so worn and eroded that they no longer are visible to approaching traffic and pedestrians. Also, we recommend moving vehicle limit lines before the crosswalk lines increasing distance between the pedestrians and stopping vehicles, thus increasing pedestrian safety. Number 3, speeding. Vehicle speeding on the village streets has increased and is a safety hazard for all residents. Many residents use mobility devices and need more time to cross streets. Many vehicles are approaching at higher speeds. Their ability to stop decreases. We recommend that you consider additional stop signs where appropriate, more monitoring and ticketing of speeders, and possibly placement of flashing lights in problem areas. In addition, there's a lack of speed bumps, yield to pedestrian signs, or tactile pavement indicators to slow down approaching vehicles. Our goal is to make Laguna Woods Village a better and safer place for all residents. And there are a few Vision Club members here who would like to voice their thoughts on these issues as well.
Time has
Appreciate your
expired.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jim Ropo, 51B.
Good morning, everyone. You know, like you, people in the Vision Club love living here in the village. I think we've all experienced when you come into the village through the security entrance, you have a feeling of sanctuary. We want to make this a better sanctuary, a safer sanctuary. And that's why we put the email together. If you look at the white benches, you will find that about a third to a half of the benches have a ding in them in one of the front corners. Now you might ask yourself, well, how'd they get dinged? Hopefully it wasn't somebody's knee, but it might have been. Or it could have been a walker or a scooter or maybe even a cane. The white benches need to be moved off the sidewalks. We don't want the white benches eliminated because many people can't walk a great distance and need the benches, but they need to be taken off the sidewalks for the safety of all of us. Sure, the email came from a vulnerable population of people who are blind or have other vision problems. But what we have said, I believe, is applicable to everybody in the village, including yourselves. As far as the crosswalks go, Jeannie summarized it quite well. I think we need some more uniformity in the crosswalks. God forbid if somebody gets hit in one of these crosswalks, sure, the person driving the vehicle is going to be, the primary person that's in a difficulty. But I wonder whether the village will also be, to some extent, liable because of the inconsistency in the crosswalks. The last thing about speeding, many of us walk every day. My wife and I, we hold hands and walk. We walk about 8 o'clock in the morning, 6 days a week. We see at least one speeder every time, and more like 3 or 4 speeders. My wife sees them, I hear them. So we're asking the security chief to put together some kind of a comprehensive effort to reduce speeding in the village. We're not experts on these subjects, but maybe, if you go between Clubhouse 1 and Clubhouse 3, the Performance Arts Center, there is not one stop sign on Calle Aragon. And that street has a bit of a slope going down. People tend to...
3 minutes have expired.
Okay, thank you.
The next speaker will be Jean Rudy, 555C.
Good morning. I live over at the intersection of Sevilla and Aragon near the Performing Arts Center. And I also walk on a regular basis. And one of the things I've noticed is there could be several places where crosswalks really would be best to be added because people use them all the time. They cross the street. And the first one is between the two serpentine walks on Aragon. That while there is a crosswalk down near the Estrada and Aragon intersection, people don't walk down there. They cross in front of the street. Cars come through pretty fast, and I've seen some fairly close calls sometimes. But that is walk day and night, and it would really be beneficial. I've heard many people, even those that don't have vision issues, say they wish there were a crosswalk there. The other one that I noticed is on Aragon, as you get close to the library, the sidewalk on the non-clubhouse one side, the opposite side, it dead ends where the hill is very steep. And people that live there, they just cross the street near the library overflow parking lot to get across to go to the clubhouses. And again, a lot of traffic is coming around this semi-vision corner for drivers, and I've seen some close calls there. And I ride the bus on a regular basis, and I see the bus drivers having to, slow down or, stop to let people cross in those two places. So that would, and I'm not familiar with the other parts of the village, mainly because I live in phase one. But those two areas are heavily traveled all day, and if they were to add some crosswalks, I think it would be beneficial to everyone in the village if those are possible. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Annie Funk, 663B.
I'm Annie Funk, and I live by Gate 4, and I do walk clear down to Clubhouse 3. And there's a bench just as I pass Mendoza, and it is on the sidewalk. And as you can see with me and her, I'm not one person, I'm two people. So I pretty much take up the whole sidewalk, and if somebody's sitting on that bench, I literally have to step off of the sidewalk onto the road. And that's just if somebody's sitting on it, if somebody's walking with a walker and I can hear it because it starts 24 hours a day, that bench is very, very dangerous for me. There are a couple others, but that bench is a special bench for her because when my husband was alive and he had bone cancer, he would walk a little bit with me, but then he'd sit at that bench. So she's still looking for him sitting on that bench, and it's a jackpot for her to tell me where the bench is. And then if there's people on it, they don't say hi, and I can't see them, and I'm touching the bench, and then I'm touching somebody's lap or leg. So it's just very dangerous for me on the sidewalk. I can deal with the other ones because they're not so much real close to my neighborhood, and she doesn't even know their benches there. I don't know their benches there, but I mean, that is just, I've been off the sidewalk several times to let people go by. So that's all I have is it's a very dangerous bench. Thank you.
The next person is Mona Shonenweissner, 3151B.
Morning. Thank you for allowing us to come. I've lived here for 20 months. 7 days after I arrived, shelter in place went into effect. So the only people I've really met are my Vision Club people and the walkers. And I walk every single morning, and I walk all the way around the circle because the cars go so quickly and people roll up to the stop signs, but they don't really stop. They just California stop and go on through. And for someone like me, that's very dangerous. I love living here, and I appreciate your listening to us. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Melissa Baker, 472C.
Thank you for your time. Something that has not been mentioned that is also a concern for many people, not just the friends in the Vision Club, is that EV vehicles are becoming more popular, and it's not certainly something that our community has addressed that's made it attractive for people to have EVs. But if you have vision problems, you're not as likely to see a car approaching, and they're quiet. And I think that's a concern for many people, not just the people here today. So I think that's an important thing to recognize. Also, I will say my families have lived here for over 34 years, and I was one of those people that drove too fast sometimes. And here I am now, realizing how important it is to address the issues of speed. And then my final point is, I have 2 dogs, and when I come upon a bench, if 2 people are coming towards me or somebody else with a dog, someone most commonly will step into the street. And that is absolutely not good for anyone. So I think there are many good points that have been addressed, but I wanted to add the fact that EVs are becoming more abundant now in the community.
Next speaker is Marie Bolchazzi, 3240C.
Good morning. I'm on the board for the Table Tennis Club, and our members are concerned about the very limited number of hours we have available for playing. We are allowed to play from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4:30, only on Mondays through Fridays. This actually eliminates any play for people who are working. They can't come in the evening, and they can't come on weekends, and families do not have that opportunity to be with their families and play. And it really gets quite crowded sometimes. I don't really understand why we can't at least be open till 5. The community center is open from 8 till 5, and yet we're cut off at 4:30. In addition, there is a room that used to be used for our, it used to be a fitness center, which is right next to the table tennis room. That room has been misused for about 3 years. After the table tennis, after the fitness center was moved, that room is essentially being used for storage, and I did happen to see some of the things that were being stored. There were a lot of boxes filled with marked destroy, files that have to be destroyed. That's very valuable real estate. It would be wonderful if we could have some extra tables there, because we really have a wait. I mean, sometimes, especially around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it gets very crowded, and people have to wait to play, and yet you've got this wonderful room next door that basically is being misused. We have tried to, members have asked about extending the hours, and we are told that the problem is staffing. And yet, at Gate 12, there's almost round-the-clock coverage as a gate ambassador there. And the only thing that gate ambassador does is to wave people in or give a thumbs up. There's no screening. That person is not really functioning. Why couldn't that person or those people attending Gate 12 be used to increase the hours on the weekends, perhaps, or in the evenings? Let's see. Anyway, our hope is that very soon we can have the hours extended for table tennis. So thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Mary Stone, 356C.
Good morning. On October the 28th, I attended the special United Board meeting that elected the GRF United Board delegate. The next day, a GRF Meet the Candidates was held, and the newly elected United delegate was one of the candidates that participated. I was somewhat confused and decided to check the GRF bylaws. I discovered that they were amended on January the 18th, 2021, and 6.2 was amended to include delegate GRF directors. The board of each mutual is responsible for appointing an eligible member of the mutual to serve as the delegate GRF director for 3-year terms. The authorized number of GRF directors is 11, and 3 of them shall be directors appointed by each mutual as delegates. I was very surprised. I hadn't heard anything about this. I didn't recall hearing anything about the bylaw change. I searched the February GRF minutes and saw nothing about a bylaw change. The February 2nd GRF minutes only showed that the GRF Ad hoc Bylaws Committee was dissolved. There was no report. In June, a GRF vacancy was filled, and there was no mention of the delegate requirement. A GRF vacancy also existed in August and September, and there was no mention of a delegate requirement. The bylaws were amended in January. Why wasn't it being publicized? And why haven't delegates been appointed before now?
The next speaker is Chris Collins, 3306Q.
Good morning. I'm here representing the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, and this is an update on behalf of how we help residents that are experiencing temporary financial crisis. Our motto is neighbors helping neighbors, and here's why. What if something unexpected happens and you need help, but are unsure what to do and where to turn? For example, would you know what to do if you experienced a financial crunch and could not afford to pay your electric bill? If you ran out of money in the middle of a month and only had food to last a week, or if you keep falling but are unable to afford an emergency response device. If your spouse was experiencing increased forgetfulness or dementia but you couldn't afford a caregiver, what if you simply need to go to the doctor but you couldn't leave your spouse alone? If you were in the donut hole and your doctor prescribed an expensive medication? If you were released from the hospital and were unable to prepare your own meals? What if you needed a caregiver services, but you could not afford that? If you could no longer drive and needed help with transportation, but your funds are limited. In Laguna Woods Village, these difficulties can be handled because the foundation stands ready to help residents. This financial assistance can buy food, pay for utilities, purchase medications, arrange for caregiving services, purchase an emergency response device, and provide transportation, among other things. The first step is always to contact social services at 949-597-4267, where staff will verify the need and arrange for assistance. During that process, resident identities are not disclosed and payment is made directly to the vendor. So, if you want more information about specific programs, please contact the foundation at thefoundation@comline.com or 949-268-2246. Please also visit our website at the foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org to learn how the foundation lives up to its motto of neighbors helping neighbors. Thank you.
At this time, do we have any email comments?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I have 7 email comments. Barbara Garnas, 3032N. Dear Board, I come to you today seeking your help because the Compliance Department seldom enforces against violations. Members complain repeatedly about the same violations over and over, yet compliance takes little to no action. The small amount of times that they do enforce, they target some residents and not others for the same or worse violations. This is very disconcerting. Please see what you can do. Tolly Sunderhaus, 580. I am one of the Aliso Creek residents who for over 8 years have attended every landscape committee meeting in our quest to restore Aliso Creek to its prior state. We were repeatedly told by the prior landscape management the government agencies would not permit restoring the creek to its pre-construction state, but we have conversations with the government agencies and they did not concur. If the current landscape department would review the May 21, 2015 landscape committee meeting, they would see a plan to accomplish the very task we have been requesting. We were told GRF could obtain default approval from the agencies provided the work was performed during the appropriate months and with controls to protect the aquatic wildlife. The cattails would be removed, the willows relocated, and we look forward to the water flowing in the creek again. Later, we learned because of the lack of compliance by the landscape department, monitoring of the creek was extended, and moving the willows and total removal of the cattails was again delayed. We recently learned there's no limit to the numbers of times the cattails are trimmed, subjects only to bird nesting season. It just needs to be budgeted and done more frequently instead of a few times a year. The good news to come from the landscape is they are working on creating a 3-4 foot wide clear channel that would restore some of the water view and reduce the standing water sections and mosquito risks. This is a fantastic idea, but has not progressed. Finally, I consistently hear board members urging owners to attend the committee meetings to educate themselves and express their opinions. I have requested our landscape meeting members' comment be memorialized in the minutes as was always done in the past. Thus, I was alarmed in June to hear Maggie Blackwell state our member comments should not be included in meeting minutes, even when requested, but only summarized. Unfortunately, those member comments were then eliminated. This seems to be an effort to hide all criticism by cleansing the meeting minutes, and while maybe technically legal, perhaps goes against the spirit of collaboration and teamwork needed to identify and correct problems. I apologize for taking time at this meeting, but feel it is the only way to counteract the censorship and to publicize the continued problems, and hope you will include my comments in the minutes of this meeting. I thank you all for your willingness to serve our community. Rosalind Russell, 118Q. Dear GRF Board, for better than 9 years, I have been swimming primarily at these two pools, 1 and 4. The water is always pristine, though not always the correct temperature for the elderly there to swim. Though temperature is important, the direction of this note is to address the filthy conditions of the locker rooms. We need your help. There is a mold in almost all of the showers at both pools, 1 and 4, as well as the outside shower at pool 4. Mold is sequestered with cleaning. Even bleach alone will kill mold and fungus. It can't exist with elbow grease applied, certainly with bleach use. Changing toilet paper, hand towels, and refreshing the soap does not equate to cleaning the shower rooms. I have addressed this matter several times over 8 years, along with the broken doors, spigot missing shower heads, no controlled water force, and so much more. I met with our past CEO and current CEO in person regarding the filthy conditions and provided over 102 photos to document how the service we pay for. They are not supervised based on results. They have no pride based on results. I will add, twice a month is a calamity for cleanliness for any agency to keep anything clean. The shower areas are old, but such is not the issue with proper cleaning. As an example, Hertz Castle is far older than Laguna Woods Village. They do not remove and replace whatsoever. They use maintenance to keep things clean and repaired. To be known, each shower room is serviced once every other week. Through the story shared when inquiring about the cleaning frequency is the shower rooms are cleaned weekly. Yes, however, 1 week is the men's area, the following is the women's. Not acceptable, especially with the cleanliness being necessary to avoid germs during the COVID epidemic. I believe Recreation had the power to get things managed, but it comes down that they have no authority to get more cleaning done. It's up to you, the GRF board, to get things handled efficiently and immediately. Not even our caring CEO, Mr. Parker, can authorize more cleaning days or bring on another crew without your approval. Apparently, no one on the board goes to the pool. Or if you do, you use different pools, possibly not entering the shower rooms. It has been bandied about to hire an outside company to clean weekly, deeply. How about the team we have is replaced with another crew who actually cleans? What part of dirty do they do not see? It is visible. A soft fingernail can remove the black mold. Have a field trip and observe for yourself. Take a paper bag, as you will likely gag and need to use it while
Connie, the 3
doing the
minutes have
shower.
expired.
Right. Ann Beltran, 8540. While the GRF MNC committee proceeds with its necessary data and cost analysis relative to making an EV charger recommendation to this board, I wanted to share with you the ultimate decision makers, the growing body of data supporting the needs to install more EV chargers in the village to meet residents and new buyers' needs. I quote from the Atlantic's Weekly Planet newsletter of September 28, 2021. 9% of the new cars sold globally this year will be EVs or plug-in hybrids, according to S&P Global. That's up from 3% 2 years ago and a staggering iPhone-like rise. GM, Ford, Volkswagen, Toyota, BMW, and the parent company of Fiat Chrysler have all pledged that by 2030, at least 40% of their new cars worldwide will run on a non-gasoline source. More remarkably and importantly, automakers are spending like they actually believe that goal. The auto industry as a whole will pump more than $500 billion into the EV investment by 2030. Also, of substantial impact will be the two massive bills moving towards passage in Congress. The $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that has already passed in the Senate includes $7.5 billion in infrastructure funds for the growth of the EV charger system. Also, still in President Biden's Build Back Better package, aka the reconciliation bill that needs only 50 senators' votes, are substantial tax credits for EVs. EVs will be affordable to middle-class families such as our residents and new buyers. With such an investment in the charging infrastructure coming, it will be incumbent on VMS to stay on top of where and how that money will show up in California and how it might be available to lower the cost of the village EV charger installation program. Michael and Gail La Peña, 547Q. Dear GRF board members, we are requesting a waiver of $100 GRF fee for a third person living with us. She is our daughter with Down syndrome. She doesn't use any of the amenities. We understand the third person fee for regular third person capable of using all the amenities. We moved to the village approximately 5 years ago. At that time, we went through all the necessary paperwork to allow her to live with us, doctor statement and all. All that time, a third-person fee imposed by the United was $50. This is understandable because she uses water and garbage, cable, TV. After 2 years here, the United fee was raised to $98 and an additional fee from the GRF of $100 was added. We believe the $100 fee is a little excessive, especially for a disabled person like my daughter. Also, a consideration, I'm my daughter's caretaker. If this was reversed, would a caretaker have to pay a fee? With the cost of living going up every day, we would like for you all to consider a waiver of the 100 GRF fee. We will wait for your reply or questions of this request. Thank you for your consideration. William Peltz and Sire Weaver, 372A. We strongly support installation of EV charging stations at the Laguna Woods Clubhouses. Thank you very much for your attention. Joseph Italiano, 2183P. Dear Mr. Parker and the GRF Board of Directors, at the last meeting, there was a discussion about a very uncommon transactions where GRF charged the resident for a cable station, Fox Sports Net, I believe, and did not provide the service to the resident. Those dollars that were charged to the residents were instead recorded in a contingency account. The result of this transaction was the occurrence of a material tax liability. I am a retired certified public accountant and would strongly suggest that Mr. Parker and GRF do the following. 1, contact our outside auditors and explain the situation. 2, request a written opinion regarding the potential for commingling or other accounting irregularities associated with this transaction. 3rd, request a written legal opinion regarding the potential for civil or criminal issues associated with this transaction. Should the accounting and or legal opinion point to accounting irregularities, then in light of this new information, reverse the transactions, return the money to the resident, and restate fiscal year 2020 taxes. Should the opinions agree with the handling of the transactions, then all should still consider reversing the transactions, returning the money to the resident, and restating fiscal year 2020 taxes. In this manner, you protect the foundation, the residents, and yourself from any damages in law or equity. This concludes the members' email comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have one other member comment. If we just want to hold off 1 second. All right, Michael Landry, 693B.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I was here last week and came to the United meeting instead of GRF. I want to talk about bees again, and please don't tell me that I need to go do something about it. I have experienced several instances where the pest control people are here, literally killing hives of bees, and I don't see a point in doing that when we have such a dearth of bees that are surviving into our existence, to keep our existence on this earth by pollinating flowers and vegetables and the things that we need to live. I would like to have somebody contact me to put us all into contact with beekeepers instead of bee killers. Would that be a possibility for you folks? Do we need to start a movement that people get fined if they kill beehives? If they're in the trees, leave them alone, for God's sakes. They're doing what they do. We can't legislate bees out of existence, or we will legislate ourselves out of existence. There's already a problem with the climate in this country with global warming. Let's not make it even worse by killing these dear creatures. So I didn't put my name and my number on this on the board because I didn't have time to do that. I just walked in. But I'm 693B. My phone number is 949-439-9239. I'll be more than happy to help us do something to save these little creatures. Thank you.
That concludes member comments.
Directors. Okay, Debbie?
I'm going to respond to the Vision Club people, and I appreciate you all coming here today. Last week at the security meeting, I brought up these very topics about the stop signs, the walkways, and this has been something that has been in my heart for several months that I've been working on. We are going to be doing some analysis regarding this. I can't address the bench issue. Maybe Egon, we can take that up in M&C. But definitely the security with the regards to the crosswalks, the stop signs. I will tell you that they have increased the patrols and they have increased the tickets for speeding. And that is something ongoing that we recognize. They have the 4 speed minder devices. If there's a specific area where you're seeing this, if you could let security know, because they can move those around and then they target that particular area. We do recognize that downhill going towards the pack tends to be the speedway. So if you have those emails and the things that you send, if you make sure that we get them so that I can bring them back to the security meeting, that would be great. Because we are working on it and we do appreciate and understand, the situation. So thank you for sharing all of that today. That helps my cause too. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say on behalf of M&C, we'll get a list of the benches and their locations, and we'll take a look at that. Thank you.
So I just want to add to that, you're invited to the security and meeting anytime that you would like to address some of these issues. And it might be the place, for you to attend. Actually, the security, Carlos is represented at that meeting, and you can also voice your concerns there. But I know I was at the meeting, and I know Debbie brought up these issues of stop signs. And, right, so, all right, is there any other comments or response from the, and Jim?
Yes, excuse me. I want to thank the Vision Club for coming in. I happen to walk that same route that Annie does, and Jim, and maybe a couple of others. And it's interesting, I never noticed. I've seen some of the difficulty, but because I'm sighted, I don't realize how important it is for those who are not sighted. And so calling our attention to it, and specifically mine, I watched Annie when she trained her dog. Okay, I remember those days. And when I walk past her, I'm very careful to say, good morning, at a safe distance, so that she knows that I'm in the area. So just calling my attention to it, calling our attention to it, I think raises a lot of issues that we want to take care of for those who are unsighted. So thanks again for bringing that forward.
Are there any other comments?
This is Gan Mukhopadhyay. I appreciate that all of you are concerned about the safety and other issues in the community. It is encouraging that you are taking parts in it, and I would suggest that you come up in future wherever you find something is not according to the rules and regulations, as well as for the safety of the people. I thank you for coming.
Thank you. I can comment on several. One, the EV chargers is being reviewed and studied. Okay. The other, this waiver for $100 from a GRF for the third person, I'm suggesting that we take that to closed meeting, and so that we have that email that was from that person and we can bring it to closed meeting and discuss that. And the other thing in regards to the bylaws, we did everything, and I was part of that committee. There were several of us that were part of that committee, and we followed all the protocol that was necessary. I think the trouble right now is just the fact that I understand they can't find the records. And so I'm wondering if staff can help locate those minutes of those corporate meetings, that they can't find them. I understand they went on the web. That's where they went, on the web, to be able to find the meetings that addressed the bylaws. And since I was there, I know it happened. So if staff could help us out and figure out where we can access that, that would really be appreciated. But I can guarantee you, Mary, if you're still here, we did everything. We had them approved. They went through the proper procedure. They were signed. And this idea of a delegate, okay, was something that was brought up mainly by Mutual 50, because they wanted to make sure that they always had a delegate. That was the only reason. And the way the bylaws are written, that if they, Mutual cannot come up with a delegate, then it is up to the corporate members. So the only thing that's changed is that United and Third and Mutual 50 have the opportunity to have a delegate. They take turns, until we, are able to just make it as a natural, as an ordinary procedure. This was the first one. And I have to apologize, for the ballot, that it was sent out beforehand. But we were only following Davis Sterling, where we had to have it out in 30 days. And there was so many, as you know, there were so many elections going on and so many dates that we had to adhere to, that it, ended up being at the improper time, which we will correct for next year. So, Joan?
Okay, I too was not able to find the minutes for the corporate meetings past the year 2014, on the website. But Grant was able to find them, and I know they're being filed regularly.
Right.
It's just that the public at this point can't seem to find them. Maybe Grant, where are they?
The current practice has been to have the corporate members' meeting minutes be approved at the annual meeting, at which time they can be placed onto the website. So the minutes from 18 wouldn't be there in itself. However, we do have the minutes attached to the GRF annual packet, which can be found on the website and also on the Team Up calendar. There is also we have the Granicus video of the day on January 18th. In addition, we still have the agendas and noticing of that meeting that is also on the website that demonstrate the change in the GRF bylaws.
Okay, I'm just saying we need to have it made more public. It's not obvious. And maybe Eileen is here, and I know they're working on the website. So if there's a way to actually isolate the corporate members' meetings for the years, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if there...
Yeah, I have one question,
Okay.
or one comment or request. Grant, I'd like to see that email about the fees that are part of the tax event that happened, brought to the closed meeting, so I could take a look at it in more detail.
Could you? What was your? What
That was the second.
Joseph
the second or
Italiano.
third email
Gotcha.
from the last. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah,
Danny Vaughn?
I'd like to comment on that, the tax email also. First of all, the numbers that you saw were budgetary numbers based on the anticipated liability at that time. Since then, it has been reviewed by our outside tax consultants. It has been reviewed again and again, and that number has been significantly reduced based on that analysis. Again, it was just a budgetary number. It did not affect per man or per month, even in that budgetary number. So it's kind of a red herring. Well, I am concerned about just a ton of factual misstatements in that email, and bordering on accusatory comments about misuse of funds and a bunch of things, and I think that's just unnecessary.
Yvonne?
And Grant, could I have a copy of that landscape email that you received so I can address those problems?
We can make sure it gets to you.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other comments? So if there are no other comments, we will go to item number 10, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board of one motion. In the event an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, each item shall be subject of further discussion and action by the board. Are there any objections? If there are no objections, the consent calendar is approved. The next item is recommendation from that was part of the consent calendar. Thank you. The next item is the unfinished business. So item 11A, entertain a motion to adopt a resolution for the GRF Code of Ethics Policy Modification. And this has satisfied the 28-day review. So Joan, will you please read the resolution?
Yes. Resolution 90-21-XX, Code of Ethics Policy for GRF Directors. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, has recognized the need to amend the Code of Ethics Policy for GRF Directors, and now, therefore, be it resolved, November 2nd, 2021, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the Code of Ethics Policy for GRF Directors as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolved further that Resolution 90-21-24 is hereby suspended and canceled, and resolved further that a copy of this resolution shall be given to every candidate for the GRF Board of Directors, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution on the Code of Ethics Policy for GRF Directors.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any objections?
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Both Yvonne and Egon.
Egon. Thank you.
Are there any objections? If there are no objections, the Code of Ethics Policy for GRF Directors is approved by unanimous consent. So the next item is item B for unfinished business is to entertain a motion to adopt revised committee appointments. Okay, so do you want to go ahead and read the resolution and then we'll make the corrections?
Okay.
All right.
Resolution 90-21-XX, GRF Committee Appointments. Resolved November 2nd, 2000.
Please make sure your microphone's on.
Can't hear me, I'm try again. Resolution 90-21-XX, GRF Committee Appointments. Resolved November 2nd, 2021, that the following persons are hereby appointed and ratified to serve on the committees of this corporation. For the Strategic Planning Committee, we have added Ira Lewis from 3rd and Anthony Liberatore from United. Under Community Activities Committee, under Strategic Planning, we've also removed Kush Bahada from third, removed Steve Parsons from third, removed Andre Toring from United, and that was it. Under Community Activities Committee, we removed Reza Karimi from third, Andre Toring from United, Kash Ashrakar from United, and added Kush Bahada from third, Reza Bastiani from United, and Pearl Lee from United. Under Equestrian Center Ad Hoc Committee, we've removed Stephanie Brown and Bunny Lipinski as advisors. Under the Finance Committee, we have added Donna Rain Shostak from third and Mark Laws from third. We've removed Steve Parsons from third, Robert Muchnick from third, Craig Wayne from third, and made Diane Casey a regular from United. She's no longer an alternate. Under the ITAC Committee, Information Technology Advisory, we removed Diane Casey from United, added Anthony Liberatore from United, and added Lynn Jarrett from third and Mark Laws from third. We've removed Reza Karimi from third and added advisor Sue Margolis. Under Landscape Committee, we removed Maggie Blackwell from GRF. We added Lynn Jarrett from third and Ira Lewis from third, and Annie McCary as an alternate from third. We removed Reza Karimi from third, and we removed Donna Rain Shostak from third, and added Pat English from United, that's Landscape. Under Maintenance and Construction, we removed John Frankel from third and added James Cook from third, and added Kush Bahada as the alternate from third. We removed Reza Karimi as alternate from third and added Pat English as the from United. Sorry. Under the Clubhouse Renovation Ad Hoc Committee, we added Kush Bahada as alternate from third and made Ralph Engel as a representative from third, no longer an alternate. And we added Diane Casey from United. Under Media and Communications, we removed Maggie Blackwell from GRF. And this is where I have some corrections.
I know, I thought maybe if you wanted to read through it and then we go to the corrections.
Okay, I'll read through what's here and then go back. All right.
Right.
We added James Cook from third, removed Lynn Jarrett from third, and removed Donna Rain Shostak as alternate third. Under Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, we removed Lynn Jarrett from third. Under Mobility and Vehicles Committee, we removed Craig Wayne from third and Reza Karimi from third and Kush Bahada as the alternate from third. We added James Cook from third. We removed Elsie Addington from United. We removed Reza Bastiani from United. We removed Neda Ardani as the alternate from United. We added Maggie Blackwell from United and added Pearl Lee from United. Under Security and Community Access, we removed Maggie Blackwell from GRF. We removed Kush Bahada from third, added Andy McCary from third. We removed Manuel Armendariz from United. We added Kash Ashrakar from United. And we removed Andre Toring, alternate from United. Under Disaster Preparedness Task Force, we removed Andy McCary from third, added James Cook from third. We added Anthony Liberatore from United, removed Diane Casey from United, removed Kash Ashrakar from United, and removed Reza Bastiani from United. Under Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings, we removed Kush Bahada from third, and we added Anthony Liberatore from United. Under the Purchasing Ad Hoc Committee, we added Robert Muchnick from 3rd and removed Steve Parsons from 3rd. Under Ralph Engel, we added Anthony Liberatore from United and removed Cash Ashkar from United and Diane Casey from United and added Carl Rondazzo as an advisor. And those were all the normal additions. Then I had some additions and corrections, minor. They're just short, and then others may have the same. Under Media and Communications, we should change Deborah Dodson to regular GRF, just cross out alternate. There is, let's see, okay. I wanted to be sure that there is 2 from United. Neda Ardani is there from United, but we still are missing 1, so it should say vacant United. There is still 1 member to be. We'd like to have Maggie back, but it's not there yet. Okay, under Mobility and Vehicles Committee, there is a vacancy for 3rd, which needs to be put in. Just vacant 3rd. And under Disaster Preparedness Task Force, next page, cross out Maggie Blackwell, GRF. Those were all the additions and corrections I had.
But I have one.
Okay.
And I confirmed this with Anthony Liberatore to put Diane Casey back on the ITEC committee for United.
ITEC.
Bunny, for security, there's only 1 GRF because Maggie's off now, so if you want temporarily until I can do that one, that's up to you.
Well, I think I'll wait till after the elections. That's fine. And I can just serve until that point.
But we need to note that there is a vacancy there.
Right.
So there's a vacancy for GRF under security and community access. Okay.
I thought you were at the last meeting.
I was, because I wanted to speak, and then I ended up, yeah. The other thing where you want to put a vacancy is under your disaster preparedness. You don't have anybody in there from GRF either.
Right.
So we need
have 2
GRF and
positions.
United. No, we have one.
No, disaster preparedness, it's a vacant spot for GRF then.
Okay.
Right, well, we have 2 that will appoint after the elections.
All right, are there any others? Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Can anybody else think of anything? Okay, so we did have a second and discussion. Are there any objections to the corrected committee appointments? So if there are no objections to the corrected committee appointments, it's approved by unanimous consent. So the next item on the agenda is new business. To entertain a motion to revise the description in the business plan and adding scope of work to the adopted 2022 Clubhouse 1 Assessment and Renovation Capital Budget to add non-structural rejuvenation and beautification as an eligible expense. So do you want to read that endorsement?
Yes, well, what I'm going to read is the actual rewording for the proposed scope of work, the revision. Okay, here we go. Funding of $1,250,000 is approved for year 2022 of a multi-year project to assess and renovate Clubhouse 1. The initial work will focus on the rejuvenation and beautification of meeting rooms, bathrooms, and main ballroom. In 1964, Clubhouse 1 became the first clubhouse constructed in Laguna Woods Village. This facility has many amenities for the residents, including the main lounge, multipurpose rooms, fitness center, swimming pool, shuffleboard courts, billiards, etc. Clubhouse 1 is the most visited recreational facility in Laguna Woods Village, with approximately 226,615 visits in 2019. An assessment report of the facility was completed by a consultant and was reviewed by the GRF board. The full scope of the renovation work will be determined by the GRF Board of Directors and may be modified by the board as work progresses. The scope may include, but is not limited to, architectural, structural, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, as well as interior and exterior beautification and rejuvenation. I move that we approve this proposed scope of work revision for adopted in 2022 for Clubhouse 1.
I second.
Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, this endorsement is approved by unanimous consent. Thank you. The next item is to entertain a motion to approve an outside vendor equestrian center rental. And this must have a 28-day review. So Joan, would you like to read?
Right.
Is this it is?
Resolution,
yes, it is a resolution.
Resolution 90-21-XX, outside vendor equestrian center arena rental. Whereas staff was directed to establish an outside vendor rental rate for the purpose of hosting horse shows and riding clinics. CAC recommended the following proposed fee structure, subject to affirmation by the Finance Committee and board approval. And this is the proposed fee structure. For horse shows with 10 outdoor stalls, the availability Monday through Friday per day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., $650. The availability from Saturday or Sunday for one day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., $800. For Saturday and Sunday, both days, all day, $1,200. Under horse clinics, Monday through Friday, per day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., $200. Saturday or Sunday, one day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., $300. Saturday and Sunday, both days, all day, $400. Under individual day and overnight rentals, for the small pen from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., $20 per day. For the large pen from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., $30 per day. For overnight, the small from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m., it's $40 for the small pen and $50 for the large pen. Midday water and drag of the arena, $50. Whereas on October 14th, 2021, the Community Activities Committee, CAC, recommended the proposed outdoor vendor rental rates for the Equestrian Center to host event horse shows, clinics, and individual rentals beginning January 1st, 2022. And whereas at the October 20th, 2021 Finance Committee meeting, the committee affirmed the CAC recommendation of the proposed outside vendor rental rates for the Equestrian Center to host event horse shows, clinics, and individual rentals beginning January 1st, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved, November 2nd, 2021. Actually, that date should not be in there right now. That's going to be in December. Okay. So no date. The board of directors of this corporation hereby adopts recommended outside vendor rental rates for the Equestrian Center to host event horse shows, clinics, and individual rentals beginning January 1st, 2022, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move we accept this resolution for discussion purposes at this time and postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
I second it.
Is there any discussion? John?
Yeah, and looking at the financial analysis, it says there's going to be an annual revenue projection of $7,200. I guess I'm asking Brian, I don't know who worked on this. This reads to me like we're renting the facility for some event that people want to come and do. So do we have any offsetting costs? Will there be staff required to be there? Are there supplies, materials, costs that we're incurring that would offset some of this revenue that's being proposed each time we have an event? And if so, how much?
So, Brian?
I will say while we're waiting for Brian to get on that not only did we discuss this at the CAC meeting, but we also discussed it heavily in finance and questioned all of those things. And our understanding is that there won't be, that the $7,200 is reflective of after any cost incurred. This is a trial basis item. They have not done this before. They feel that we will have no more than 4 events at most. Should it be very popular, then we will be revisiting the pricing on an annual basis. That was what we discussed both at CAC and at Finance, at heavily. But Brian, if you want to chime in, that's great.
Yeah, I'm actually right here.
Oh, your picture was here.
I know. I was online and then I decided to pop in here, so I'm here in person. Yes, good morning, Madam President and board directors. And as Director Dotson has mentioned, this is a trial basis, so we're trying something new, a little bit different. I think there is somewhat of a demand out there for outside vendors to come in to utilize our facility to host an event like this. Yes, of course, with any event, there is some setup involved and so forth, but we have staff on site, so they're already there. We may not have a writing program that day, but we can obviously offset that and assist with the event planning and the coordination of setting up different items and so forth. So we have staff on site who are willing to help already. So there's not going to be an additional cost endured.
Okay, so
Yeah,
just to be clear, I mean, that's what I was asking. It's $7,200 would then be the net revenue.
That's
Okay,
what we're
when you
anticipating, yeah.
state something as revenue, that's usually the gross revenue. I just wanted to clarify that this isn't going to
Yeah,
cost
we're-
the community anything. It actually is going to raise a net revenue figure,
Right.
so that's positive.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Jim, did you have a question?
Yeah, it was my understanding also that the costs that you just talked about were strictly administrative and coordinating type costs, but the actual cost of cleanup, preparation, et cetera, is borne by the vendor, the one renting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Are there any other questions? Okay, so if there are no other questions, are there any objections? Hearing none, the approval of, and let me get back to where we are, okay, for the outside vendor equestrian center arena rental is approved by unanimous consent. So the next item is entertain a motion to approve the 2022 equestrian center pricing policy and chargeable service fees. And this will need to be postponed for 28-day review. So Joan, will you please read the resolution?
Resolution 90-21-XX, 2022 Equestrian Center Pricing Policy and Chargeable Service Fees. Whereas the current pricing policy and fees were reviewed to establish fair costs to boarders while providing a high level of horse care and customer service. The proposed fees were determined after conducting a comprehensive regional cost analysis of similar facilities. CAC recommended the following proposed equestrian center fees, subject to affirmation by the Finance Committee and board approval. New 2022 proposed equestrian center fees. Horse care services per day remains at $35. Horse boarding fee per month changes from $249 per month to $265. Shavings per bag changes from $7 to $7.50. Non-resident horse boarding fee is a new fee of $325. Non-resident shavings, another new fee, is $8.50. Dry stall does not change, it remains at $150. They eliminated the horse feed pellets. Horse feed alpha hay, no changes, again $51. Horse feed teff hay changes from $63 to $69. Horse feed orchard hay, no change, remains at $90. Horse feed Timothy hay changes from $96 to $99. Resident trail ride on GRF horses for 45 minutes changes from $9 to $15 per hour per 45 minutes. Resident trail ride on boarded horse of 45 minutes does not change, it remains at $5. They eliminated the resident half-hour lessons, and they eliminated for a GRF horse, and they eliminated the half-hour lessons for boarded horses. Resident private lesson with GRF horses for 45 minutes changes from $25 to $30. Resident private lesson with boarded horse for 45 minutes changes from $21 to $20. They eliminated the half-hour group lesson for the GRF horses and the half-hour group lesson for boarded horses. Resident group lesson with GRF horse for 45 minutes changes from $9 to $15. Resident group lesson with boarded horse changes from $5 to $10. Non-resident trail ride on a GRF horse for 45 minutes does not change, remains at $27. Non-resident trail ride on boarded horse for 45 minutes remains at $15. They eliminated the resident half-hour horse lesson with the GRF horse and eliminated the half-hour resident lesson with the boarded horse was eliminated, but the resident private lesson with the GRF horse for 45 minutes changes from $84 down to $55. The non-resident private lesson with boarded horse for 45 minutes changes from $72 down to $35. They eliminated resident half-hour group lessons for the GRF horses and half-hour group lessons for the boarded horses. Non-resident group lesson with the GRF horse for 45 minutes changes from $27 up to $35. Non-resident group lesson with a boarded horse of 45 minutes changes from $15 to $20. Storage, horse trailer, annually, it still remains at $160. Non-resident storage, a horse trailer annually, is a new fee of $240. The hauling of a horse in a trailer per hour was $47.25, now becomes $50. Hauling horse in trailer per mile was 58 cents, and there are no changes. It remains the same. As far as the specialty care services, the monthly charges remain the same. So turnout is $30, feeding prepared grain or feed is still $30, hand walking is $150, lunch charges per occurrence is $15, blanketing or fly sheet on or off is still $60, third grain option is still $30. Fees are subject to change due to current market value. Whereas on September 9th, 2021, the Community Activities Committee recommended the GRF Equestrian Ad Hoc Committee's proposed equestrian service fee amendments to the current Equestrian Pricing Policy Resolution 90-20-20 to be effective for year 2022. And whereas at the October 20th, 2021 Finance Committee meeting, the committee affirmed the CAC recommendations of the equestrian service fee amendments to the current equestrian pricing policy resolution 90-20-20 to be effective for year 2022. Now therefore be it resolved, and this should be blank number, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts recommended GRF Equestrian Ad Hoc Committee's recommended equestrian service fee amendments to the current equestrian pricing policy resolution 90-20-20 to be effective for year 2022. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move we accept this resolution for discussion purposes, but postpone the final vote for 28 days per CC 4360.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
Is there any discussion? No discussion? There are no objections? If there are no objections, then the pricing policy for the equestrian center is approved by unanimous consent. So the next item is to entertain a motion to introduce a revised GRF investment policy that will comply with the current civil codes. So Joan, please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-21XX, Golden Rain Foundation Investment Policy. Be it resolved, blank. This corporation is hereby authorized to invest the funds of the corporation. All investments on behalf of this corporation must be made with the underlying principles in the following order of priority. 1, safety. 2, liquidity, where applicable. And 3, yield, and are subject to the following conditions. Non-discretionary investments. Resolved further, funds administered by the corporation's managing agent, known as managing agent, must be invested in a non-discretionary account in accordance with the provisions of Civil Code 5380. Authorized investments administered by the managing agent are limited to obligations of or fully guaranteed as to principal by the United States of America. Resolved further, that no discretionary investment may be sold, withdrawn, redeemed, or otherwise converted to cash prior to maturity without a demonstrated immediate need for the funds and the consent of any two of the following: the treasurer, the president, or the first or second vice president of this corporation. Furthermore, if there is a request that a non-discretionary investment be sold, withdrawn, or otherwise converted to cash prior to maturity, where there has been no demonstrated immediate need, approval must be provided by the board of directors of this corporation. Discretionary investments. Resolved further, in accordance with Civil Code 5515, the board of this corporation has an obligation to exercise prudent fiscal management in preserving reserve funds, known as discretionary investments. The funds being invested as discretionary investments under this investment policy are not required within a reasonable time to pay obligations of the corporation. The board will determine the amount to be managed in this discretionary account. Resolved further, the board is required to retain an investment manager who has discretion to transact purchases and sales of investments for Golden Rain Foundation's discretionary funds account. Such discretion is subject to the underlying conditions as stated below. 1. Up to 30% of the portfolio may be invested in corporate bonds and corporate bond funds rated BBB through AAA, specifically Baa3/AAA/AAA or better by Moody's, S&P, and Fitch, A bond is only required to meet the criteria of one rating service. If a bond or bond within the fund does not meet these minimum credit quality criteria in at least one of the above-mentioned rating services, the bond may not be purchased, or if owned, must be removed from the portfolio within 30 days. This removal criteria will not apply to bond mutual funds that have a stated objective of investing in investment-grade rated bonds. Removal of downgraded bonds that fall below the investment grade rating will be determined by the fund manager. 2, no more than 3% of portfolio is to be invested in any one corporate bond issuer. 3, up to 25% of the portfolio may be invested in funds comprised of government-sponsored federal agencies, namely FNMA, that's Federal National Mortgage Association, known as Fannie Mae, FHLMC, that's Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation, known as Freddie Mac, and FHLB, the Federal Home Loan Bank. Notification of 4. Notification or of confirmation of each investment transaction shall be given to the corporation's managing agent and treasurer of this corporation upon completion. Number 5, investments on behalf of this corporation may be made concurrently with investments made on behalf of other corporations at Laguna Woods Village. However, separate investment receipts will be held in the name of this corporation. Any such investments may be held for the account of the corporation in book entry form. And resolve further that any authorized investments into the discretionary funds previously made by said investment manager are hereby ratified. And resolve further that Resolution 90-19-53, adopted on November 5th, 2019, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution for the discussion purposes only and postpone the final vote 28 days according to Civil Code 4360.
Is there a second?
Yvonne, okay.
Okay, discussion. Jim?
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I have a question for Jim. I just want to confirm that all of this is in compliance with all the civil codes that we've gone through the full review? Because this is the first time I'm seeing this.
Yeah, we actually drafted this with the attorney, okay, had a discussion. What this actually does is puts us, at least our policy, more in compliance, and it delineates between those funds that are managed by the managing agent versus those that are managed by the board. So the managing agent, the 5380 complies with the discretionary funds, and the non-discretionary funds are in the hands of the board.
Okay. I think that needed to be clear for people listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the investment policy is approved by unanimous consent. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve the UPS entry license agreement 2021 to 2024. Do we have an endorsement on this one? No, it's just to approve the agreement?
It is the agreement, and I can read it if you want.
Okay.
I should.
Maybe we should just summarize it.
Okay. It's, okay, discussion. UPS is seeking to enter into the proposed entry license agreement with GRF for a 3-year term, and these are the key provisions. Permitted activities for UPS is to install 2 delivery pods in the Clubhouse 1 overflow parking lot adjacent to the library and 1 pod in the rear of Clubhouse 5 parking lot for the transfer of parcels from golf carts for delivery. Pod dimensions are 8 feet wide by 12 feet long by 8 feet high. The term is from November 3rd, 2021 through January 5th of 2024. Cancellation agreement is cancelable, by either party upon written notice. The next, indemnification. UPS agrees to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless GRF and the Village Management Services, Inc., VMS, from and against any loss, damage, injury, death, liability, claims, cost, expense, fines, or penalties of any kind caused by or resulting from UPS's use of subject property as detailed in the agreement. Next, insurance. UPS agrees to maintain in full force and effect commercial general liability insurance, commercial automobile liability insurance, and workers' compensation and employers' liability insurance in the amounts outlined in the agreement during the term of the agreement. UPS must provide proof of insurance and all required endorsements to the risk manager before commencement of permitted activities. Fee. There is no fee associated with the use of GRF property. And there is no financial impact associated with the proposed entry license agreement. I move that we approve this entry license agreement.
Is there a second?
Yvonne seconds it.
Is there any question? Is there any questions and discussion?
Is this no money is attached to this at all?
That's correct. This is for the holiday season to facilitate the delivery of packages, so there is no fee associated with it. And I did want to add that we added in the agreement that they must abide by all traffic rules of the community, including speeding, stopping at stop signs, and so forth.
And they're going to use little golf carts to do this?
That is correct.
That's cool.
They do it every year.
Yeah, this is just an extension of the service that they provide for us. Is there any other questions or discussion? Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the entry license agreement for UPS is approved by unanimous consent. So we have 9 yes. Okay. At this point in time, I think we will take a 5-minute break and then come back and go over our reports. So I'll see you in 5 minutes. Let's see, it's 11:18, so 11:25.
Please make sure your microphone's on.
It would help if I put my mic on. So, all right, I'll bring the meeting to order. And Grant has brought it to my attention that there is a person on Zoom. Okay, would you
Yes.
address that comment?
Absolutely. So Mr. Doug Rook has stated a comment of, you just approved the UPS agreement for 14 months. Didn't you mean 2 months?
Okay, the intention was basically to have it extended until 2024. And the reason for that is we have this agreement come to us every year. And so we wanted to make sure that we had an agreement for that extended period of time rather than having it be presented to us each year, even though the service is only during the holidays.
Right, the term is from November 3rd to January 5th, roughly.
2024.
So those months.
Right.
Each time.
Right. So I think that clarifies it. All right, thank you. So the next item is committee reports. And so I'm going to give the floor to Director Hopkins.
Okay. First, I'm going to give the treasurer's report. And Grant, do you have the first chart? Thank you very much. This represents the reporting period through September 30th, 2021. And so we see that the total GRF revenue was $33.1 million compared to expenses of $30.5 million. And that resulted in a net revenue of $2,656,000. Slide 2, please. And also, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our results. Of course, the operating fund is without depreciation and a few other non-cash items. And it shows a favorable variance of $1,108,000. Next chart. The next chart shows the same actuals from the income statement, but it's compared to budget. You can see that GRF ended the period better than budget by $2,224,000. And that's with a budget that we had estimated to have a surplus of $432,000 at this point. Next chart, please. Now this chart shows the most significant variances by category. The green bars represent favorable variances, and the orange bars represent unfavorable variances. Within the favorable variances, employee compensation was $2,023,000, and that was primarily due to open positions in security and information services. And as we said before, the recruiting process is in process. As you know, we have had difficulty we're suffering from the same issues that the rest of the country is suffering from in getting qualified employees. Okay. Also, of course, this also covers certain janitorial and recreational positions, and they remained unfilled while the clubhouses were closed, and the few hours were budgeted. With regard to transfer facility fees, we're positive or favorable $860,000 due to more manors being sold. Year-to-date revenue generated from the $5,000 per manor transfer fee is 31% higher than anticipated. The community had 760 sales versus a budget of 558, and that compares to 482 sales in 2020 for the same period. With regard to the positive variance in community events, that's due to the facility closure during the pandemic. The budget assumed that facilities would reopen in March, but they actually opened June 15th, and that was based on state guidelines. As far as unfavorable variances, we've had unrealized loss through investments of $550,000 due to adverse conditions in bond investments during the reporting period. This entry is made monthly to reflect the investment market conditions, which, by the way, will fluctuate. This account reflects unrealized gains and losses on long-term investments and at times show period losses. These funds continue to show gains over our original investment, however. Next would be miscellaneous revenue. Due to less fees being collected during the facility closures, and including the class fees, traffic violation fees, photocopy, et cetera, there have been less fees during this period of time, so that shows an unfavorable variance for this item. Clubhouse rentals, again, due to facility closures during the pandemic, the budget had assumed facilities would open in March. As a result, our clubhouse rental and event fees are less than anticipated. Slide 5, please. Now we take a look at our revenue other than assessments, such as fees and rentals. We observed that we've received just under $9.6 million through September 30th. By category, we can see that our largest revenue is broadband services. Okay, and that's from the internet, set-box services, and premium channels. This is followed by the trust facilities fee, which is $5,000 fee from resales, and golf revenue. These revenues offset costs and help keep our assessments down. Slide 6, please. Expenses to date are $30.5 million, and that includes depreciation, as you see, which is 13% of the total pie. Our largest category of expenses is compensation, and then depreciation is followed by cable programming fees. Again, that's offset by the the revenue that comes in from that. Slide 7, please. Slide 7. Here we have a slide to show the resale history from 2019 to 2021. The community-wide sales total 760 through September 2021. Most of these transactions generate a $5,000 trust facility fee. This fee is used as a source of revenue for our reserves. We should note here that the transfer fee will increase to $7,500 effective January 1, 2022. This fee does not apply in certain situations, such as when a current owner sells the current home and purchases a new home in the community. Slide 8, please. Here we're looking at the reserve and contingency funds together and the balances that are in those fees. Starting with column 1, right, on the left, the funds have a combined ending balance of $31.3 million. Included in this are contributions received this year through assessments, trust facility fees, and interest earnings. The second column shows a work in process of $3.2 million, and that reflects the amounts paid for projects that are not yet complete. That leaves us with a balance of $28.1 million. Slide 9, please. Here we compare our adjusted fund balance to historical balances over the past 5 years. And this shows that we have averaged approximately $24 million in reserve and contingency funds. As previously stated, our current adjusted balance is just under $28 million. While these funds may seem large, they should be viewed in the context of approximately $162 million in managed assets. And these assets must be replaced and upgraded over a period of time. And so that's why we have that reserve. Slide 10, please. Slide 10 shows that this gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $13.5 million appropriated during our budget process by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve and contingency fund is $5.6 million. And that will be spent over the next months, including perhaps into the following year. And that's how it generally works with asset purchases and allocations. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Actually do. Thanks. Just, I don't know that you'll know this off the top of your head, but it just caught my attention on slide 9.
Sure.
You mentioned, and rightfully so, we have a big increase in collection of trust facility fees because of the home resales. Why is the trust facilities fee fund dramatically reduced?
From time to time, by resolution, those trust facility fees may be actually transferred into equipment fund fees to fund equipment and or other and the facilities fund. It's just a fund transfer that takes place on a common basis.
Where are those resolutions? They come before the board?
No, it's a standing operation to take the money collected in those fees, which, by the way, is for the purpose.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
That
So you're
purpose,
saying they're
okay.
spread amongst the other funds, and the total balance would really support that.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that process works, noticing
Well, if you look
the
at
reduction
what has
each year.
happened, the facilities fund has gone up as the transfer fee fund has gone down, and that's just a transfer from fund to fund. The purpose of the trust facilities fee is to fund our equipment and facilities.
Without a doubt.
So this is simply I'm going to call it an operation. It's a fund transfer. It actually doesn't require a resolution.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Are there any other questions? And that completes your committee report also?
Yeah, The report that I have for the Finance Committee is, during our Finance Committee, we reviewed in fact, 3 out of the 4 resolutions that we approved today. We reviewed those and forwarded those to the committee. That was the CAC and maintenance construction resolutions, as well as the investment policy, which we authored. So that was what we did at our meeting, primarily, and that's my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next committee would be Strategic Planning Committee.
The Strategic Planning Committee has not met formally. We've had some preliminary planning with a smaller, less than quorum group. And hopefully we will have our first official meeting by the beginning of next year, 2022. But when I listened to the beautification and renovation for Clubhouse 1, that's what we're doing with the Strategic Planning Committee. We are updating a lot of the plans, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Debbie. The next item is the CAC. Director Horton.
Thank you. And thank you to Director Dotson for taking over the CAC meeting last month while I was on holiday. And it only seems right that she should give the report also.
Thank you, Director Horton, and thank you for letting me. I actually had a very enjoyable experience, so I appreciate you calling me up for that duty. So we had a very productive meeting. Mr. Gruner updated us about the upcoming tennis court resurfacing, pool repairs, and cleaning. And he also mentioned that we have some upcoming concerts, a holiday bazaar. I believe there is actually something at Clubhouse 4 this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. And we're slowly getting our activities restarted. Staffing still remains a challenge, and Recreation is actively exploring all options for getting new employees. I'm happy to see that we've put some things on the message board as well to update in the What's Up in the Village blast. Part-time jobs are available, and residents are encouraged to apply and also to tell their grandchildren who are at least 16 years of older. We have quite a few part-time jobs that would be great for high schoolers or college students. There's been an ongoing discussion regarding the use of the court system for tennis, pickleball, and swimming, and we've had many, many member comments over the last, not just the meeting I presided over, but the preceding one as well. If you are involved in any of these activities, there is a survey that is being sent out. It's coming out to all residents via email. The first question says, are you familiar with courts or not? If you're not, then you don't need to do the survey, and you just click and it stops the survey. If you are a person who's either knowledgeable of it or has used it, please complete the survey. And if you do not receive the survey in the next few weeks, please contact the Recreation office. Once all the data is compiled, the committee will review it and discuss next steps. I do understand that the Pickleball Club has not seen the survey yet, and Mr. Gruner confirmed this morning that they haven't gotten it yet, but it will be going to them. There will be holiday dinners available on Thanksgiving and Christmas for our residents and our guests. The Thanksgiving is already sold out, so there is a wait list, and Christmas is still available, and reservations for those meals are at Clubhouse 5. And again, thank you, Director Horton, for having me preside over that meeting for you, and that's it.
Thank you. The next item would be the report of the Equestrian Center. Well, we approved, we approved the Equestrian Center arena rates, which we are hoping to have some new entertainment for people to present for our residents. And the other was the pricing structure. And the only comment that I want to say on this is that by reviving the equestrian center, that the equestrian center has been the second largest revenue resource for this village, and golf is first, so we're the second. So the reviving of the equestrian center has been very, very successful for us. So the next item is landscape, Director Horton.
Thank you again. The Landscape Committee last meeting was September 8th, and our next meeting is on November 10th. So I really don't have anything to report. However, I will address the issues that were brought forth in the email comment, in the comment section. Anyway, thank you. That's all I have.
The next item would be, the report is the report on Maintenance and Construction Committee, and that would be Director Gotthaus. I always have a hard time pronouncing that, Egon.
Okay, thank you. So we had a meeting on October 13th in the M&C Committee, and we addressed subjects of extending another light in the parking lot, employees' parking lot, putting in another solar light there. We had an extensive discussion about EV charging stations, and our new facilities manager, Bart Major, brought up the usage of the current units that are available behind the community center here, and he gave us a report on just what the amount of usage is. We talked briefly about the golf driving range. We've gone out, or we are getting some estimates for soil amendments. We have planned to move forward with just a renovation, no redo or anything like that, just a renovation, bring the soil up to standards and plant grass. We've now gotten into the wet season, so we're going to do our planning work during that time period, and then we'll get started in the spring. We discussed the project about having transfer switches, a capital project in Clubhouse 4 and 6, and we decided to cancel that project and return the funds to the Treasury. We also discussed the resident services break room. Now, the break room was voted down in prior meetings. However, Guy told us that there were still plans, perhaps do some modifications in that circular area where where the staff meets residents, and so we'll have to listen and find out what that proposed project is. We took a tour to the welding shop because that's one of the projects on the list to be done. So on where was that? October 14th, we went a tour of the welding shop, and we approved the go-ahead to get a cost estimate, an initial cost estimate of putting in a prefab metal building, and then getting the cost to set the whole thing up. In the meanwhile, however, I'd like to point out that we got a really interesting proposal from Yvonne, when she was considering the fact that we're now looking at transferring the bus service to another organization. We may end up with extra extra area in the motor pool that has normally been used for bus maintenance. We could possibly take one of those areas and convert it to a welding shop, and that might actually be a much more secure and an attractive facility than what we're even planning. So that has come up, or that suggestion has come up since our tour, and I will bring it up the next time we talk to the appropriate people. And that is pretty much it for the M&C committee. However, and then the next we have the
Clubhouse.
the Clubhouse Renovations Committee, and we also had a meeting there, and we also had a tour. So what we had, we had a tour of Clubhouse 1, and we went through the various the rooms that get rented for services, for use by the members. So we started with Clubhouse, with dining room 2, 3, and then we went to the art room and the multi-purpose room, and we also looked at the outside portion of the drop-in lounge, and we made various recommendations. We discussed those at our October 29th meeting, and we've come up with a point-by-point plan to make each one of those rooms look like new. Okay, we're not going to do any structural changes, but we are going to, as we say, renovate and beautify the rooms. Our next plan is really to have another tour, and this time bring along people, contractors that provide windows and doors, and get some idea of what that might entail. Meanwhile, we looked at what the walls will require, and the 2 of the dining rooms will probably just require repainting and some other dress-up functions. However, the art room and the multi-purpose room have very smelly wallboards that were put in there many, many years ago and have been continuously modified and cut up and look really messy and smell bad. They are a sort of fiber board, and that apparently has what should I say, absorbed odors over many, many years now. And so we're looking at an extensive cleanup of that area, and we'll get cost estimates from those. We're going to continue on a monthly basis now, working this project, because we don't want to get behind like we did in some other places, to mention the PAC, for example. And we also, we did go into the main lounge also and look at that, and a lot of questions have come up about the the advisability of keeping the fireplace or maybe doing away with it to create more storage space, which we've been told by Recreation they would like to have a little more storage space for furniture, because that room stores furniture not just for the main lounge but also for the surrounding rooms. So we got a lot of stuff to look at there, and that's it for the ad hoc committee for clubhouses. We did not get to the other clubhouses at this time. Thank you.
Okay, so the next item would be the report for the Media and Communications, Director Millman.
Thank you. Media and Communications Committee did not meet in October due to, we didn't meet, all right. We didn't meet in October, and our next meeting will be Wednesday, November 17th, 2021, due to a conflict with the board training on that Monday. That's my report. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. That meeting will occur at 2:30 p.m. So November 17th at 2:30 p.m. It's a virtual meeting.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's still virtual, John?
As far as I know.
So the next item is the report of the Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Don Tibbetts.
Yes, I assume you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can everybody hear
Good,
you?
I'll start. Okay. Yeah, I woke up with a sore throat this morning. That's why I'm at the virtual meeting. Chris gave us an update on the ridership numbers, and they're still growing daily. We had over 6,000 riders a month on our fixed bus route, but the individual, about 425 make up that 6,000. The Lyft program is also starting to increase. And then Chris brought up us up to date on the past auction that I mentioned last month, and is very happy with the company. It's a new company, and our old cars that we junked brought in $82,000, which is really nice. We had an update on the insurance for the vehicles by Dan Yost, who's our risk manager, and he says we are covered, and it costs us about, for that item is about $450,000. And our next meeting is December 1st.
Thank you.
Now, if you would like, Madam President, I can go into security meeting.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank Debbie for taking over, well, for opening the meeting. I was having problems getting on, and so Debbie started it and did an excellent job. And by the time I got in there, she was halfway through, so she just finished the meeting. I'll mention some things that were discussed. Chief Carlos Rojas had a lot of information in a lot of areas. And he said that the RV lots, there's a waiting list at this time for about 38 people. Again, the major incidents are still falls by people. And also added to that, now we're getting a lot of delinquency payments. Illegal parkings are growing. We had over 200 illegal parked cars, and they were all discovered by the Foot Patrol. Traffic violations, number one violation is still speeding. We had stopped one car going about 60 miles an hour, and then they stopped one car, which was a DUI. The sheriff officer was notified and came out, and the man was arrested. Again, I'd like to thank Debbie for taking over. She did an excellent job, and I had heard a lot of positive comments about her after the meeting. Our next meeting is December 27th at 1:30. Thank you.
And what's the next meeting, December 1st? 27. Oh, 27?
27.
Okay, 'cause it's, okay, thank you. So the next item is Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings. Director, is Debbie going to speak on that?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So we had our traffic hearing meeting virtually, and we had several people on the docket who wanted to come and plead their case, and we actually had many no-shows. So what happens, and so anybody who listens in, if you get a ticket in the community, you have a right to come in and be heard. If you do that, then we deliberate based on the evidence. Typically, the security officer has video evidence. So normally, video evidence is fairly compelling. If you don't show up, you can either pay your fine, and if you decide that you want to plead your case and you don't show up, you're going to be found guilty automatically because you didn't show up. So we ended up having one person show up, and we did find them guilty, of course, even afterwards, because the video evidence showed them just rolling right through the stop sign. So that prompted me to go to the security meeting, which is why I went to the security meeting. And I just want to reiterate to everybody out there, we are having a big problem with speeding and rolling of stop signs. We have a community that walks frequently. Many have walkers, canes, service animals. The Vision Club came in and presented some very compelling information today. Please be careful when you are driving inside our gates and outside, but inside our gates. Stop signs, we need to stop at stop signs. And you know, it would be a horrible tragedy if somebody was injured or killed here. And please, please, please be careful. But basically, everybody who's in front of us at these traffic hearings are primarily moving violations. We did reinstitute the ability to go to our internal driving school. And you know, we don't report anything beyond our security, except for what Mr. Tibbetts mentioned with regards to the DUI. That did involve the Orange County Sheriff. So anyway, that's all. And the security meeting, we did talk about, you know, having some type of a driving fair here for residents to talk about how far it takes to stop, like when you're driving, what the speed, how far. So we're in the preliminary stages of talking about that. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
And, next time is November 17th, and right now we're still doing virtual, so I don't know that will change.
Well, it is the choice of the committee if they want to do virtual or hybrid.
Okay, well, we may do I believe that the choice of the committee would be to go to hybrid, so.
So the next item is disaster preparedness, and since we lost our GRF representatives, so I'm going to report on it, and this actually came from Carlos. So Disaster Preparedness Task Force held its last meeting on September 28th. The members were reminded that the Disaster Preparedness Task Force has reopened Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. And Judith Troutman has scheduled to appear on TV6 to promote the office and the emergency merchandise available to purchase. Both volunteers and staff have been updating of the Good Neighbor Captain roster along with the recruiting new members. So the Pet Evacuation Committee reported that they completed their supply inventory. The Great California Shakeout was discussed and would focus on testing systems that would include the Code Red system, Good Neighbor Captain Program, Disaster Preparedness Radio Team, and the Races Radio Team, which serves as a liaison with the City of Laguna Woods. Earthquake preparedness information was also disseminated to staff and residents via the Village Breeze and TV6. After action report will be present at the next Disaster Preparedness Task Force meeting. And the question was also asked is, how does disaster preparedness impact our clubhouses? And Carlos' response was the only time a clubhouse will see an impact is if during the shakeout drill, which is once a year, in the event of an actual disaster. The impact during the annual drill is for a couple of hours and does not require any other clubs to cancel their events. In the event of disaster, the clubhouses will serve as care and reporting centers. And we do keep emergency supplies in cabinets, but only access them to inventory them, and will complete that so it does not impact anyone else during the clubhouse. So that ends my report. So the next report will be from the ITAC committee, Jim Hopkins.
Thank you, Madam President. The ITAC committee did meet on Friday, October 29th, and we welcomed our one new member, Mark Laws, and also acknowledged another new member, that's Anthony Liberatore. We also discussed where we've been a long way. We were bringing the new members up to date. And in doing so, we kind of realized where we have been. We started as the Software Research Committee, which was, I believe, started as an advisory committee, started by Sue Margolis and Andre Torb. That then developed into a GRF committee, all right, which became the ITAC. And that initial committee started off with some 80 to 90 different software solutions that we currently use in an effort to understand all the functions within the community and how they serve the community, and narrowed it down to about 20 off-the-shelf software solutions. From that, the ITAC committee took that process, narrowed it down by interviewing and doing analysis on those 20, narrowed it down to 3. We're now looking at those 3 possible solutions. We have actually interviewed all 3 of those solutions. That means the ITAC committee has interviewed them. We're now in the process where the stakeholders, and the stakeholders, essentially those who will be using it every day. That's the VMS employees. They'll be using it to serve the residents. And so they get a chance to look at the 3 choices and determine which best suits their needs. And of course, there's a lot of functions. We kind of take for granted the functions within VMS, but there are a ton of functions that we just take for granted. And so they're going to get a chance to take a look at it. Members of the ITAC committee will be sitting in on those sessions. Those sessions are starting this week. In fact, I believe they started today.
Today.
Okay, they started today. And so we are working feverishly to get a choice in front of, or our choice, meaning our collectively, the stakeholders and the committee's choices, in front of the right board. And I believe that's all of the boards, or the board members. What is it called? The members, okay. Corporate members, okay. So that they get a chance to see our selections and our recommendations. So that's where we are. And I thought I'd take this time to recap it. We'll be doing a much more formal recap in the upcoming meetings. That's my report.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the future agenda items. There are no future agenda items. So director comments. Are there any director comments? Yvonne.
Okay. Well, my comment is that when people are using the facilities, they need to sign in. We need to get the utilization correct. If we're not, you're not going to get what you want if the utilization isn't correct. So that's just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any, Debbie?
I just want to, again, thank the Vision Club for coming in and speaking today. They did a wonderful job, of great presentation of bringing our attention to a very important situation. So I want to, again, thank them. I also want to say that the ITAC committee is one of the most hardworking committees that we have. We meet weekly because this is a very important process. And I hope that when it comes time for us to present everything, that people understand that we have done a very, very thorough job of scrutinizing every step of this. So thank you. It was a great meeting.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
President Carpenter?
Yes?
We do have a resident who wishes to speak about the ITAC committee, if they'll be allowed to speak at this time.
Fine.
Okay. This is Mary Wall,
Yeah.
239D.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry I'm a little late here, but I just saw on the screen there about the IT is going to be in closed session. Is that correct? The meeting's in closed session?
I can't hear you, so
The ITAC committee is in closed session?
I saw there, it says that the meetings were in closed session.
it's a closed meeting.
Is that a closed meeting, it's not a closed session? Is there a difference?
She's just asking if it's a closed session. It is.
Yes.
Yes.
So members
it's-
are allowed in closed meetings, is that correct?
Correct.
It's an advisory committee. It's a working committee, it's an advisory committee at
But
the
it's still
moment.
closed?
Yes, it is. Closed sessions.
Closed to all members?
Yes,
Is that legal?
yes.
Absolutely.
So you can have closed meetings and we can't come, is that correct?
Yes. It's an advisory committee, and it's a working committee. The decisions or the recommendations will be publicized, okay, and be brought out in public. But, I mean, I don't think it would be even useful for the community to see essentially, starting off with 20 to 25 different choices and how we go about, making some of those choices. So it's a working committee, and it's an advisory committee, and it's fully legal.
Well, you say it's legal, I guess it's legal.
Yeah. And by the way, if you have any suggestions regarding what the committee's work is, just feel free to contact me.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? If there are no other comments, we will recess and we will go upstairs for our closed meeting. And Dawn, we'll miss you. There's food there for you.
I'll eat your food.
Okay. If you want us to save some, we'll do that too.